All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday night 5-day challenge. My name is Brandon Ivey from Los Angeles, California. Go ahead and type your name in the chat box where you're listening in from. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I share information for educational, training, and entertainment purposes only. And it is up to you to make your own informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. So we are now live on YouTube as well. So those of you on YouTube, also feel free to chime in and let us know where you're listening in from. I see we have Marnita Cussa on the line and Carla Arrigo, CJ Jackson, Dawn, Betty Sherman, Gina Muhammad, Jacqueline Briggs, Janelle, Joyce Easley, Nathan, Patty Geis, Rita B, Sandy Lynn, Wild Bill, Yvette Perot. Sandy, we still have to talk. We got to set that up. So welcome, everybody. And also those of you on YouTube as well. Day 2 of the 5-day challenge is now piggybacking on top of day 1, which was what is the blockchain? What is the blockchain? Many people still confuse blockchain and cryptocurrency and are unaware that blockchain technology is one of the greatest inventions that is going to impact the most amount of people around the world. And that is a fact. It's like when the printing press came online for the very first time. Did people really have a full understanding of how powerful that was and what it could do? You know, back in the day, if you wanted a Bible, Bibles were rare. They had to hand copy the Bible. That's what they did all day in the monasteries. You know, then the printing press rapidly changed the world. The computers changed the world. Cars changed the world. Flight changed the world. The internet in the 90s. When we first heard of the internet for the very first time, did you have any idea that it was going to revolutionize the world? We knew computers were big, but the idea of the internet and having a web presence, we didn't fully grasp that until what, less than 20, 25 years ago? 25 years, did we have a full understanding on how big it was going to be? Well, the same with the blockchain, only I'm telling you the blockchain is going to be bigger, have a bigger impact on the world and humanity. Now, that's the technology. Riding that technology is a cryptocurrency called Bitcoin, or for that matter, all digital currencies. Blockchain is what makes it possible. So we're going to talk about tonight cryptocurrency itself. What are they? How do they work? What is digital money? And to understand that, we're going to talk about a little bit about the history of money. So let me go ahead and share screen, and we're going to jump on into this. Again, welcome those of you on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube and you want to be with the cool kids here in the VIP section, just go to ilcasecrets.com. I'm sorry, not secrets, ilcacryptonews.com and register to be in our inner circle and our VIP members. And you can be on this side with us. And you can be able to do Q&A. Tonight, I will be stopping the live stream for YouTube when it's Q&A session. So let's jump on into this. How do cryptocurrencies work? Well, first and foremost, and I shared this story last night, the first time I ever heard of Bitcoin was in 2010, and I thought it was nothing but monopoly money being used by nerds who live in their mom's basement playing World of Warcraft all day. I didn't think there was anything real to it, and I had no idea. What you don't know, what you don't know. But if you want to have a full understanding of cryptocurrency, you must also understand the evolution of money. Most people don't know what money is. They think hey, you go to work and they give you a paycheck and you go to the ATM and you pull out some cash and that's money. No, money is energy. Money is just another word or form of resource. It's not about money. It's what does it allow you to do? And no matter what century, decade, millennia it is. We all need and work for a resource that allows us to do and live a certain type of lifestyle. And over the millennia, money has changed. In the very early days, people exchanged value via a barter system of trading goods, followed by the development of commodity or money, which is like silver and gold coins, as they were easy to carry and divide and had a level of scarcity that provided value. The barter system. Have you guys ever bartered before? We call it haggling. My grandfather, my mother's father, was a pro at the art of haggling. He never paid full price for nothing. The only time maybe today you can do that is when you're on the car dealership and you're trying to negotiate. I don't even know you can do that today anymore. Negotiate the price of a car, how much you're willing to pay for it. It's just more today on how much are you willing to put down as a down payment to lower your monthly expense. That's about it. But back in the day, my grandpa used to go religiously to the Compton swap meet, and he would take me, my brother, and my cousins, and we go down to the Compton swap meet, and he always looking for deals, and he haggled everybody, and he it was an art to it. And I even saw him do it at the grocery store. And I remember saying, isn't the prices are on the sticker? Isn't that what it is? You can't negotiate that down. Somehow my grandfather was able to do it because it was a local grocery store and everybody knew each other in the community. And another thing that if you were in a poor neighborhood, you didn't have enough money to do things. If you needed vegetables, my grandma grew them in the backyard. So somebody needed, if my grandpa needed to have his car fixed, somebody in the neighborhood would fix it, and my grandma would pay him with the vegetables and fruit. Somebody in the neighborhood knew how to fix roofs, knew how to do the yard work, knew how to fix cars, knew how to do housing, and so it was kind of internal community at that point. But that's how it was way back in the day. In 1971, President Nixon abolished the gold standard, ending the ability for people to redeem US dollars for gold at the Federal Reserve, allowing the government full autonomy to freely print money, thus making the US dollar a fiat currency, for fiat is Latin for it shall be. Fiat currencies, which are now commonplace around the world, are not backed by tangible assets, only the promise from the government. Unfortunately, this led to currency manipulation and devaluation by governments to erode massive federal deficits at the expense of the consumer. Moving away from the gold standard, in my opinion, or experts may say the same thing, was the greatest robbery of the most amount of people at the same time without any revolt or riot taking place. The people just went for it because, again, the people don't understand money. The gold standard, even in its partial form up to 1971, helped to control inflation. So those of you in the inner circle, this morning in Crypto Talk, we learned of, what country was that? That BRICS. The BRICS nation wants to create their own stable coin backed by gold. Why? Because gold is a hedge against inflation. And they are fully getting prepared for when the US dollar collapses, inflation around the world goes sky high, and they're going to have their wealth in a stable coin backed by gold. But what happens if you remove the dollar from the gold standard? Well, look at the chart here. We went 1800 all the way to the creation of the Federal Reserve, which we didn't have in most of American history, in around the 20s or so. And then an explosion, 1971, we lost the gold standard, and look what happened with inflation. It just exploded from there because now the government could print more money without finding new gold to back it. That is my biggest scare when it comes to Tether. And I've been talking about that in our inner circle. And now Tether is talking about, yeah, it's a top priority that we want to have a third party audit. We want to prove that we actually have the dollars to back our token one to one. But even is that wise to have the a stable coin backed by the US dollar when the dollar is losing value every single day? That's why BRICS is having theirs backed by gold. The dollar has lost 90% of its purchasing power since the mid 20th century as a result of inflation. This is why many financial planners stress investing in assets like stocks, gold, real estate, and etc., rather than holding cash to preserve and grow wealth, given fiat loses its store of value over time. I remember in the early 80s, my brother and I going to summer camps, and my mom would drop us off. Each of us had either a two $10 bills or a $20 bill, and that thing lasted us the whole week. Now, you take that $20, you can get a carton of eggs and some milk and maybe some bread, and that's it. You can't get nothing else. But that's because of inflation. It's important to understand that the US dollar is, as of now, the best transactional currency in the world. But you need to know that the rest of the world is looking for an alternative, and they want to create an alternative. They want to get away from American dominance. For a long time, gold has been considered the ultimate store of value. Now people are turning to cryptocurrencies as they are more secure, easier to store and transport, cheaper to use, and easier to subdivide than any asset known today. It is disrupting the international payments and transfers business by cutting out the exorbitant fees of banks and middlemen. The global remittance market, which is people working in one country and sending money back home to their families, as well as becoming the currency of the internet and fueling a new wave of global e-commerce. Here's the basic concept. Cryptocurrency is roughly the equivalent of using PayPal or a debit card, except the numbers on the screen represent cryptocurrency instead of a fiat currency like a dollar. So there's a lot of people who think that this is too complicated. A digital economy, you're already living it. Most people don't carry cash anymore. The only time I carry cash on me is if I'm traveling, so I can maybe leave a tip if I want to leave cash as a tip, pay for maybe parking, even though now you still use your debit credit card, or toll roads, which I think is a travesty. Our tax dollars is already paying for the road. Why am I paying another toll on it? So depending on like Orlando, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Orange County, California, toll roads. I never understand that. But I want to always have some cash. I remember when I was younger, my mother used to tell the story of how whenever she would leave the house, my grandfather would always tell her, you got some dimes on you and some quarters on you, so that if you ever needed to call home, you can go to a payphone. Kids today don't know what a payphone is. It's ancient technology to them. But you want to always have some cash on you, just in case. But most people do transactions with debit and credit cards. I do. I have a whole stack of them. All you really need to do is set up an account with the crypto exchange service like Coinbase, use your fiat money from your bank, and purchase crypto. So people say, well, how do I buy crypto? I got a whole lesson on that in Bitcoin 101. If you're in the United States, especially, go to coinbase.com, register and sign up just like you would if with a PayPal account, or you're setting up a Cash App or anything like that. And you're just going to connect your bank account to it, and you can withdraw the money straight from your bank, and you can buy crypto. And when you're ready to sell it, it's the same thing. It's just the reverse. If you're using Coinbase, let's say you've got Bitcoin or Ethereum, you would sell it into USD on Coinbase and then withdraw it. And in the old days, it would take 3 to 7 business days for that to hit your bank account. Today, it happens instantly. That's one thing my mom loves instantly. And then sometimes I catch her when she's trying to pull some crypto out. I'm like, no, 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 don't sell your crypto. Let it continue to grow. Here's the basic concept. To use cryptocurrency, you don't need to understand it any more than you need to understand the monetary system to use a credit card. However, if you want to understand cryptocurrency, you need to understand the concept of digital currency, the concept of blockchain, both a ledger of transactions and a technology, and the concept of cryptography. And we talked about that yesterday. It's all about privacy, decentralization, open source. Anybody can view it and see it, and it can't be copied or manipulated. It's fair. After all, cryptocurrency is a digital currency where transactions are recorded on a digital ledger called a blockchain, and every process along the way is secured by cryptography. So in simple terms, cryptocurrency works a lot like bank credit on a debit card. In both cases, a complex system that issues currency and records transactions and balances works behind the scenes to allow people to send and receive currency electronically. That is what's revolutionary. Why is it we were never able to have a digital form of currency before? The idea has always been there. The concept of cryptography didn't just happen in 2008 and 2009. That actually started in the 60s. The problem is the internet, Web 2.0, is only about sharing information and files, which means when you share your file with somebody else, you both have a copy now. That's not how money works. Money works as if I have money and I give it to you, I no longer have the money. You now have the money. So it was impossible to do that digitally because who's going to verify that in a decentralized way? Now, we kind of do it with our debit and bank accounts because our debit and bank accounts uses a bank ledger. So if I am sending through mobile banking money from my account to somebody else's account, the bank ledger is recording that I no longer have that money and the other person does. That's what the point of sale device does at grocery stores. That point of sale device is letting the merchant know that there is money in this account and the bank sends them the money without you having to give them cash. But what if we can do that by eliminating the middleman and we can do it from a peer-to-peer way? Talk about ultimate privacy. So the main difference between cryptocurrency and bank credit is that instead of banks and governments issuing the currency and keeping ledgers, an algorithm does. So now if you remove that third party and an algorithm is doing it, because of the blockchain, we now can share information and transfer information. I remember one of the biggest controversies in the 90s was the concept of email. Do you remember when you heard that for the very first time? Email, electronic mail. David Letterman and others made fun of it. Says, what do you mean? You can't send a package through the internet. They didn't get the concept. And that's why sometimes it's still hard right now for people to wrap their mind around electronic money. All you need to know is that it is leaving your possession and going into the possession of somebody else. You no longer have it anymore. Is there interest? There is tremendous interest in the crypto space right now, and equal parts confusion, uncertainty, and doubt. When somebody sees something new that they don't understand, they fear it, and they don't want to have anything to do with it. Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, ICOs, smart contracts, DeFi, NFTs, and metaverse. What do these even mean? The natural response to these foreign concepts is usually skepticism and rejection. But beneath the jargon lies a powerful new technology, revamping our financial system. Bitcoin started as an experiment. in the depths of the global financial crisis of 2008, aiming to build a better financial system. Early on, cryptocurrencies developed a seedy undertone as they were mainly associated with black market trades, ransomware payments, money laundering, and tax evasion. Cryptocurrency has been described as the most disruptive technology since the internet, as well as a fraud or a massive Ponzi scheme. 2016, Donald Trump called it a fraud and a massive Ponzi scheme, and that was fake money, and the only thing that was real was the dollar. He's saying something different today, isn't he? So what is cryptocurrency? Well, cryptocurrency is a digital currency that doesn't rely on central banks or trusted third parties to verify transactions and create new currency units. Instead, it uses cryptography to confirm transactions on a publicly distributed ledger called a blockchain. And we covered that yesterday. There are thousands of different cryptocurrencies in circulation, each with varying values. And people are surprised by that when they first get into crypto for the very first time, because in the news, you only hear Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. Because of Elon Musk and whatnot, you might hear of Doge, you might hear of Binance, but that's as far as people know. And then they get into it like, wait a second, you mean to tell me there's thousands of crypto? No, there's actually millions of crypto out there. There's crypto coins being developed every single day. 99% of them are crap or S coins, shit coins, in other words. This is why education is important, so you know the difference. The first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, was developed in 2009 by a programmer using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. And in Bitcoin 101 courses, I cover who is Satoshi Nakamoto. It's called the birth of Bitcoin. In a 2008 white paper entitled A Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash System, that paper is going to be one of the most important revolutionary pieces of literature ever written in human history, next to the Bible. If you have not read that white paper, I strongly encourage you to do so. If you don't like reading or don't feel you have the time, especially those of you on MoveQuest, you're always walking, get your headphones on, go to YouTube, type in Bitcoin white paper Brandon Ivey. I recorded myself reading that. That reminds me, it's time for me to read it again. So maybe I'll do a special lives and I'll do a live reading of the Bitcoin white paper. I know a whole lot more today than I did when I recorded that video for the first time. So it's time for me to look at it again with new eyes. So blockchain is the technology that enables cryptocurrency to work like government issued fiat currencies without the involvement of any central bank or trusted third party. Before the blockchain, somebody attempted to create a digital coin. I think it was called the gold dollar, bit gold. It was something like that. Be it 2000 or 1998, 1999. The government shut that down so fast and arrested that person. That's why they needed cryptocurrency to be in place. You might say, well, why? Well, it's against the law to create any currency, especially that's competing against the US dollar or any fiat currencies. If you know history, oh, thank you, Judy. Yes, e-gold. If you know history, all the way up until the Civil War, the United States had multiple currencies. The government had its own gold, and businesses, not states, but businesses had their own gold, and the gold would have the company's mark on it. The British currency was still being used. Spanish gold was being used. The French currency was being used, all in the United States in different parts, because you have to understand the colonies. So the South, Louisiana, was all about the French. The South also had Spanish gold. The Northeast had the British pound or pence, whatever they called that. The only entities that were not allowed to create currency was states. States were not allowed to create currency. So why did things change? Well, when the Civil War was run up to it, you can't fight a war without funding. And by the time the Civil War came, it was different than the Revolutionary War because somebody named Alexander Hamilton created the centralized banking system in the United States. And where was that headquartered? In the North. What did the South get to compromise allowing a centralized banking system in the North? Because up until then, there was no centralized banking system. They got the capital in Virginia. So when the Civil War came about, the North just cut off funds from the South. And the South could just easily say, all right, we're going to use French gold and Spanish gold. And so the US government made any other currency illegal. And that's when the United States went to having just one currency, especially right after the Civil War, to never have a foreign entity be able to come in and back any of the states independently to revolt. And they have the money to do so. Just like I told you guys about the Iron Bank in Game of Thrones. The Iron Bank has no loyalty to anybody. They only have loyalty. Can they make money on their investment? That's it. So crypto is actually taking America back to how it used to be. See, when the gold rush happened and everybody was moving out west and everything, companies had to have the ability to pay their workers. Not the railroad system and everything wasn't there like it is today. There was no automatic cash system to send across the country. So on the West, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, they had to be able to print their own currency at the time. I'm a student of history. I find it fascinating to know where we came to get to where we are now. So fast forward today, this Bitcoin white paper breaks down this technology. Now, how does cryptocurrency work? Well, transactions are sent between peers from cryptocurrency wallets. Now, this is a scientific, this whole slide here is scientific. This is what's going on behind the scenes, but it's good that you hear it and know it. So transactions are sent between peers from cryptocurrency wallets by matching up public codes which relate back to user-held private passwords, aka cryptographic keys. Transactions made between peers are recorded on a public ledger of transactions called a blockchain. All users of a given cryptocurrency have access to the ledger if they choose to download a full node wallet, as opposed to holding their coins in a third-party wallet like Coinbase. The transaction amounts are public, but who sent the transaction is encrypted. Each transaction leads back to a digital cryptocurrency wallet. Now, all that means is this, and this is how I explained it to my mom. It's like sending an email. What do you need if you want to send an email to somebody? She says, I need their email address. Great. So you type up your message, and then it says to and from, just like putting a mail in the mailbox, to and from. You want to quiz your kids today? Put a what you call a letter in front of them and ask them to fill it out. Send a letter to grandma. Here's her address, and ask if they can figure it out. I like tricking kids like that. But email, all you need is somebody's address. So your wallet, your Bitcoin and crypto wallet is your address. So you're going to have a crypto address, that's your wallet. And if you're going to receive crypto from somebody, you just need to give them your wallet address. If you're going to send crypto to somebody, you just need their wallet address. You don't need their name. You don't need their address. You don't need their zip code. You don't need their private information. All you need is the address. Whoever owns the password or key to the wallet owns the amount of crypto denoted on the ledger. This is where I always say, not your keys, not your coin. And we'll talk more about that in the next couple of days when we talk about security. When someone sends or receives cryptocurrency, when they send from one wallet to another wallet using a set of private and public passwords, that transaction is queued up to be added to the ledger. Many transactions are added to a ledger at once. These blocks of transactions are added sequentially. That is why the ledger and the technology behind it is called blockchain. It is a chain of blocks of transactions. So, what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is digital money that is not issued or controlled by anyone. Think about it right now. The dollar in your pocket, who issues it and who controls it? Any Forex currency, Canadian dollar, the British pound, the French franc, the euro, the rand, the naira, the yuan, the Russian ruble, all of that is controlled by the government. And controlling the government's ability to control currency is essential for their sovereignty, is essential. And it's the reason why the United States has been able to maintain world power and dominance since World War II. So again, if you understand history, how did America, that's only 248 years old, be able to be the world power? Not because at the time we were able to provide the best military. Actually, for a while, Germany had better technology than America had. What happened after World War II is it was so devastating that the economies of the world were flattened. North Africa, the Middle East, India, half of China, all of Japan. In Japan, you just hear about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What you don't hear about is the fire bombs that we were doing. We were trying to firebomb, America wants to always have a kind of higher moral authority, but we were specifically targeting civilians too. And we firebombed them. But we weren't the only ones. What Japan did to China that Americans don't read about in history books. The rape of Nanking, one of the greatest migrations in human history of the Chinese people moving from the East Coast halfway across their own continent to get away from the marching Japanese soldiers. So a whole lot of rebuilding needed to take place. But the only world power that was not leveled was America. And now, coming out of World War II, we had built our industrial base to build the war machine was still intact. And while the men were fighting the war, the women were the ones in the factories until the men came back home. So the strongest currency that survived was the dollar. And the United States took advantage of that. And instead of doing what the UK did and physically take over and colonize other lands, the United States did it financially. We financially backed and built the rest of the world. And that gave America influence and power. So it's called soft power. We don't need to have soldiers in the country to control the country. We fund the party or whoever we want in control. Dictators, it didn't matter. This is what America did to China. What do you think happened when the Chinese Revolution and the Communist Party took over and that the Democratic elected, backed by American government, fled to Taiwan? So if you want to understand what's the fight between Taiwan and China? Most Americans have no clue. They don't even know where Taiwan is on a map. But to understand, you have to understand the culture and history of the Chinese people all under heaven. all under heaven. Do you, an American, that doesn't mean anything to them, to you. But if you know the history of China and all the different dynasties and creating one China, all under heaven. And until Taiwan or even Hong Kong is connected, that will always be strife. So it's again, it's good to know, understand history. So, anyways, I'm getting off on tangents here. So, if it is used to buy goods and services, store wealth, or send value to anyone without the permission of a third party, often regarded as digital gold, Bitcoin that is stored properly cannot be hacked, stolen, or seized. So I forgot my point that I was making saying all that was that governments want to control money. So for the very first time in human history, currency can now be put in the hands of the people, not the government. And the government can't control it. They can't take it from you. You know, it's yours. That also means that's a threat. That's why governments and banks in the early days were all against crypto. Guys, remember when Facebook tried to come out with the Libra? And they were so close. And the governments of the world shut that thing down so fast when they understood what was about to happen, that Facebook was about to become the largest country on the planet with 2 billion members. And once the politicians figured out what was going on, they were like, whoa, slow your roll, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, still now. Unlike physical gold, Bitcoin is cheaper, faster, and more efficient to store or send anywhere in the world. Bitcoin is divisible to the 8th decimal place. Remember, I told you guys about Satoshis? I forgot which lesson that was. 8 decimal places. It is completely digital, allowing the transfer of any monetary value. Opposed to government fiat currencies, which can be manipulated and devalued, there is a finite supply of 21 million Bitcoins, making it a scarce and valuable asset. Bitcoin is the internet of money and will do for finance what the internet did for communication. Now, I want to harp on this 21 million number. Why is that important? Well, the dollar, the US dollar itself, I don't know, where's my cash? The US dollar itself is infinite. That means that there is an infinite supply. The government can just print more whenever they want. Why is gold so precious? Because it's scarce. It's scarce. Gold is finite. And the only time there is new gold is not when the government decides to just make up new gold. You got to dig in the ground and find a new gold depository. Now, is the gold community excited when a new gold deposit is found and discovered? No, because now you're about to flood the market with more gold, and that's going to bring the value of the existing gold down. Unless you're the one who found that gold deposit. Bitcoin, the reason why it's so popular and works and powerful is that there will only be 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence, ever. There are more millionaires and billionaires in the world today than there are Bitcoin. So classic supply, demand. If every millionaire decided they wanted to own one whole Bitcoin at today's price of $87,000, they can do so. They can purchase it. The problem is that there's not enough to go around. So there's going to be a fight. So now the value of it's going to go raise higher until it prices people out. That's why Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the past decade. It over time, even though it goes up and down like this, over time it's just going up. And you can see it in the charts because of that 21 million number. Currently, there is almost 19 million Bitcoin in circulation. So mark what I say right now. Write this down, put this to heart, because it is still true. I said this in 2018, and I'll say it now. If you own one whole Bitcoin and you forget you have it, in the next 10 years, you will be in the top 1% of all asset holders in the world. Top 1%. Let me tell you something else. If you own just a quarter of a Bitcoin, so 25% of the $87,000, if you just own a quarter of a Bitcoin and forget you have it, you will still be in the top 1% of all asset holders in the world. And I first said that when Bitcoin was $5,000, $6,000 a coin. Where is it now? $87,000. So how does it work? Well, one, you create a wallet. Two, you're going to purchase Bitcoin. There's multiple ways to do that. Three, funding your account. You can do it through desktop or mobile, and there are many other ways. So the Bitcoin network is a peer-to-peer network that runs on a decentralized, and if you don't know what that means, I have a whole course on what decentralization is. That's also the backbone of Web 3.0, the future of the internet. Just like think of the hottest thing in the 90s, late 80s and 90s was Blockbuster Video. You guys remember Blockbuster? They had a great business model, right? You know, you get off of work on a Friday, go on down to Blockbuster. You're able to walk up and down the aisle, see which movie you wanted to see, the latest movie that's released from the movie theater, get your popcorn and Twizzlers, get that movie, go home and watch it, return it on Monday in the Dropbox. And then if you were fancy and you had a higher account with Blockbuster, you could call ahead of time and reserve the video just in case there's not enough on the counter by the time you get to it. And they were the hottest thing going. Blockbuster Video in California, we had that, and we had Hollywood Video. Those two. In my city, they were on the same corner right across the street from each other. Like a Taco Bell and Laverne, we got on one corner Taco Bell and right across Del Taco. If you're not from Cali, you may not know what that means. You may hear of Taco Bell, maybe not Del Taco. Or McDonald's and Burger King, right across from each other. Hollywood Video and Blockbuster. And that model seemed like it was going to go on forever because it was an experience. And then something called Netflix came around and said, we want to provide even more service. We're going to mail you your DVDs to your home. And Blockbuster said, are you crazy? Ain't nobody want to wait 3 days for the DVD to get your mailbox. And even then, it might get cracked. Can you imagine the DVD in the mail system? And I ain't gonna lie, I remember times I got it in the mail and the doggone thing was cracked. And then if it's cracked, you can return it. Well, when I moved last year, I was looking through some old boxes and I found it was this one Netflix video that was it Netflix? Yeah, Netflix video that my wife ordered years before and we lost. And if you lost a video, you had to pay the fee. And I found it in an old box. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I was showing my son that. And he was like, what is this? I said, yeah, we used to order movies through the mail. But Netflix had a much bigger vision, didn't they? They were looking at the internet, not just sending the video in the mail. What if we could send the video through the internet? Now, at the time, that was impossible. Why? AOL dial-up. How long did it take you to load up one website? So how in the world do you think you're going to stream a 2-hour video through that service? They said, no, we know the technology is going to get better. High-speed internet, cable wires is being put and built in cities all around the world. In fact, during the late 90s, it was a project to linking all the cities of the country with roads and railroads and freeway systems. The information superhighway. I remember that, hearing all the news about that. Oh, our city is now having high-speed internet. It wasn't Wi-Fi yet, though. So they knew one day there's going to be technology, and they said, if we want to help facilitate this, and they went into Blockbuster Video and tried to make a deal. And they offered Blockbuster Video 49% of their company. Blockbuster Video laughed them out of the room. Say, get out of here with that. Are there any Blockbuster Videos still around today? I think sometimes I go to the grocery store and I still see some hot boxes. I don't know what those are called that you can actually get the DVD from within there, rent it and return it. I only see those around now. But Netflix is king. And Blockbuster Video had a chance to adopt it, own it, basically. Yeah, that's it. You've got red boxes. And they turned on it because they didn't have vision. That's what you have to be looking at this right now, this technology. I don't look at it where it is right now. I'm looking at where it's going to be 15, 20 years from now. Users can buy or sell goods and services, send money to people or organizations, or even extend credit in a fast, secure, and borderless manner. The only prerequisite for access to these coins is an internet connection and a private key that forms a pair with public-facing keys to provide access to the coins stored on the Bitcoin network. Unauthorized access to someone's private key is similar to stealing gold from their vault. This is why keep your keys secure. Bitcoin's core value proposition. One of the first things that people think about when they learn about Bitcoin is payments. Every financial transaction we make, either with Venmo or our banks, has at least one intermediary that sits in the middle and takes a little cut. What if we could transact with one another in a peer-to-peer way without needing permission? That's the one thing I never got. I mean, I got to ask the bank for permission to get my money. All we need is an internet connection, and we could send money to anyone without anyone's permission in the same way the internet allows us to send information. Philosophically, Bitcoin assures that the money you have earned is yours and enforces the idea that you can truly own your wealth. Payments and being a medium of exchange is an important part of Bitcoin's value proposition, but it's not the only part. Bitcoin is a highly censorship-resistant and permissionless store of value. Using the Swiss bank account analogy, there is about $20 trillion worth of wealth in the world stored in offshore bank accounts and shell companies by major companies and many individuals. This is not illegal. Rather, it's to lawfully shield those assets from creditors, taxation, legal jurisdictions, or even corruption. Bitcoin and other crypto assets fulfill this void and many others to a much greater extent as the first uncensorable and unseizable asset in history. This is why I figured out May 2017. Cryptocurrency represents the greatest economic shift in wealth in the history of mankind for the most amount of people. And there's no barrier of entry. Now, you may want to own some Bitcoin for the same reasons why you should invest in anything, to maintain or increase your standard of living over time. Now, wealthy people get into crypto to stay wealthy. Everybody else can use crypto to get wealthy for the first time in their family's history. Now, this is especially important in the face of inflationary pressures and the fact that fiat currencies are a terrible store of value. So if someone says, Brandon, I got $10,000, should I put it in a savings account? Absolutely not. Wealthy people don't save. Wealthy people invest. The average billionaire doesn't have $1 billion in the bank. They might have anywhere between 30 to 50 million cash at any given time because that's all they need to buy anything. They have it in investments. Elon Musk doesn't have 240 billion sitting in a bank account. No. So if you have a savings account, you're losing money every year. Owning Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency is a choice. That is why we are here to educate you so you can make an informed decision. Everyone should build a diversified portfolio to secure their financial futures and enable them to achieve what they want most in life. Crypto assets could play an important role in that, as many believe Bitcoin and blockchain-based assets are one of the greatest technological innovations and will represent the greatest wealth creation event of our time. In 2009, Bitcoin was worth less than 1 penny to the US dollar. Oh, wow, look at this change. Today, Bitcoin is worth over $87,000. It may be time you make the choice. As a disclaimer, this information is intended for educational and training purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. As with all financial decisions, you should contact your licensed financial advisor before investing in any financial instrument. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our lesson for tonight. So, you know what we're going to do. It is now time for the Q&A. Ooh, Maggie's got a good question there. If you have $500,000, how much are you going to buy Bitcoin and how much are you going to buy MQT? I'm going to answer that question after I turn off the live stream. That's a good question. And I'm gonna state again, and I'm not a licensed financial advisor, but what I would do with 500K. All right. With that, I'm going to, oh, and I don't think Ms. Casa is able to do the Q&A side. I will handle this. So if you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. Those of you on YouTube, thank you for taking time out for our day 2. We invite you back for tomorrow. The rest of this week, we're going to be talking security. So tomorrow night, we're going to talk about why crypto security is so important. On Thursday night, we're going to talk about wallet security. And on Friday night, we're going to talk about decentralized and centralized exchanges for security. You know, the difference between those and which wallets are for. No, 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 I'm sorry. Wait. I don't like guessing. Let me see exactly what is that titled. Courses, security. Yeah, hardware versus software security comparison. We're going to talk about that. So thank you guys on YouTube. With that, I'm going to stop the live stream and go into Q&A with our VIP members. YouTube, I will see you guys tomorrow night. Where's my live stream? All right, bye-bye.